I want to bring in Mike Davis, president and founder of the Article 3 Project. Sir, thank you so much for joining. Obviously, jury instructions just happened. President Trump went out into that hallway and said not even Mother Teresa herself could beat these charges. He posted on Truth Social saying that he deserved to know the specificity of the crimes, and he's struggling to understand what's actually being alleged here. Break it all down for us. What is your take on what we've been seeing here today?
This is a partisan, corrupt, rigged process by these Biden Democrats to railroad President Trump with this unfair trial, to get a felony conviction for a non-felony, and to use this for November 5th, 2024. We saw with this corrupt judge, Juan Merchan, this Democrat judge, he got reprimanded by the New York court system for his illegal campaign contribution to Biden in 2020. His adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is raising millions of dollars off of this trial over which her father's presiding, requiring his recusal under New York statute. And instead of recusing, he retaliated against President Trump by imposing an illegal and unconstitutional gag order. So President Trump can't mention Lauren Merchan's name, nor can Trump's campaign. They can't mention Matthew Colangelo got deployed from the number 3 office in the Biden Justice Department to bring these bogus charges against President Trump 7 years after this alleged bookkeeping entry in his private books that somehow a legal expense is not a legal expense, and somehow that is a bookkeeping misdemeanor that's time barred, that somehow got morphed into these 34 felonies. You have a corrupt judge, these partisan prosecutors, Soros-funded DA, Alvin Bragg, who campaigned on getting Trump, Matthew Colangelo from the Biden Justice Department. You have these so-called star witnesses, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, who have changed their story numerous times, that they're raising money online right now off of this criminal trial, but Trump or his campaign can't respond to them. You have this Manhattan jury pool that voted 87% for Joe Biden, and then Matthew Colangelo and Alvin Bragg and Judge Juan Merchan further rigged the jury selection by bouncing people who follow Trump on social media but not Biden. And then you have these jury instructions by this corrupt, partisan, biased Judge Juan Merchan, where he's telling these jurors they don't even need to unanimously agree what the second supposed crime was in furtherance of this supposed bookkeeping misdemeanor from 2017. Somehow that affected the 2016 election for this bookkeeping entry in his private books in 2017. And this judge instructed the jury, you don't even need to agree what that second crime is unanimously. 4 of you can think it's one thing, 4 of you can think it's another thing, and 4 of you can think it's another thing. It's very clear that this is a corrupt, partisan, rigged process to label Trump a felon before November 5th, 2024, because Joe Biden is looking at old polling from over a year ago saying that if Trump is a felon, he loses, and that's the only way he loses. Guess what, Joe Biden? This is going to backfire and backfire on you spectacularly. You're going to really regret having Matthew Colangelo deployed from your Justice Department to Bragg's office to bring these this bogus trial against Trump. It's going to turn him into Nelson Mandela. He's going to win in a landslide.
Well, Mike, I want to highlight that point that you made about the jury instructions and not necessarily having to agree unanimously on a specific crime. Obviously, this case was resurrected by Bragg. Falsifying business records is a misdemeanor. Statute of limitations is 2 years. But he's combined it with this very vague New York State election law, Section 17.152, and it says that it prevents any person or any 2 people from conspiring to promote or prevent the election of any person via unlawful means. And he's claiming that under the umbrella term, according to these reports from the courtroom, the unlawful liens the jury could pick from a bookkeeping charge, a tax violation, or a FICA charge, and they don't necessarily need to agree because it all falls under the umbrella term of unlawful means, according to the reports from inside the courthouse. Have you ever seen anything quite like that? What is your reaction to hearing instructions quite like that and the complexity in which they've been delivered?
Yeah, we've heard about cases like this in third world Marxist hellholes like Zimbabwe and North Korea, and now in Manhattan, in New York, and D.C., and Atlanta. These are third world Marxist republic-ending tactics by these Biden Democrats because Joe Biden is a shell of himself. He fears American voters on November 5th, 2024, because the Biden presidency has been an utter disaster for just about everyone, unless you're Ukraine or a defense contractor making money off of their war in Ukraine. And so the Biden Democrats are running this unprecedented republic-ending lawfare and election interference against President Trump with these bogus legal theories, these bogus witnesses, this bogus evidence, these bogus charges. Guess what? This is not going to fly with the American people. The American people, you see this in the polling, resent the fact that these Democrat judges and prosecutors and witnesses and other operatives in these Democrat hellholes of New York, D.C., and Atlanta think that they get to pick the next president of the United States instead of the American people. Go ahead, Joe Biden, convict President Trump. Selfishly, I kind of want this because instead of President Trump winning by 2 points, if they convict him, he'll win by 4 points. And if they try to throw him in prison, he's going to win by 6 points.
Mike, certainly. On that note, again, about an hour into jury deliberations, how do you foresee it playing out? Could we get a verdict by the end of the day? Is it more likely towards Thursday or Friday? What does it mean for the longer it goes? Break it all down. What do you expect to see happen?
Look, there's no crime here. It's not a crime for a businessman to settle a nuisance claim. It's not a crime for a presidential candidate to scheme to try to influence the election. Every businessman and every presidential candidate would be in prison under that theory. This is an absurd theory. But even if those were somehow crimes, there's no evidence that these jurors heard to support those crimes. But guess what? This is a corrupt, partisan, rigged process. This jury pool is loaded with Biden supporters. This judge is corrupt. His daughter's making millions off of this case. And guess what? If this judge does not deliver for Joe Biden, they're going to cut off Lauren Michon from Biden world. She's not going to be one of the leading Democrat consultants and fundraisers raising millions of dollars if Judge Juan Merchan does not deliver a criminal conviction here against President Trump for Joe Biden. So that's what I expect to happen.
Mike Davis, Article 3 Project, sir, thank you so much for joining us live on One American News.